I have a couple different clients who I help do their marketing for, and they're all in different trade industries. And what I've realized when it comes to running a successful trade business is whether or not you're tracking. Because if you ain't tracking, you're slacking. Now, what I mean by that is because business is about making money, and making money is about where you spend your time and your money in. So if you're not tracking anything and you're just doing whatever randomly and seeing what sticks, you're bound to fail. Now, if you are tracking, you can confidently see what's working and what isn't working. And that way you can cut off what isn't working and you can double down on what is working. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys what I call the growth equation and pretty much give you everything you need to know in order to fix every bottleneck in your trade business. Now, as you can see what's different, I've got a little mic leveling up in the world. So hopefully the video production's going better. But the first thing that we're going to track is your ads. So when you're advertising on Facebook, Google, Instagram, you're going to come across your cost per lead or your CPL. Now, if you're not doing advertising for a trade business or local business and you're doing SEO or you're just hoping for someone to refer you, you're going to get crushed. I've got a couple videos on how to advertise, so check that out. If you're not advertising in the big 2026, you're screwing yourself over. So depending what industry you're in, your cost per lead is going to vary. However, in my experience, I've gotten leads as low as $5 per lead all the way up to $30 per lead. So if you're advertising and you're getting a cost per lead of anywhere between $5 to $30 per lead, I'd say that's a good range to have. In a special occurrence where you're getting a cost per lead of lower than 5 to 30, so anything lower than $5, I'd say you've hit the jackpot. Keep running your ads. Now, obviously, leads isn't everything. It's your cost per booked appointment or cost per booked quote, but we're going to get into that. But if you have a campaign that's generating anything lower than $5 per lead, keep that running. In most instances, if you're running your ads and you're getting a cost per lead that's greater than $30 per lead, this is what I'd do. So first of all, what I'd do is I would check the frequency. So what frequency means is how many times your ad is being shown to a specific person. Now, a good range to have for frequency is I'd say around 2. That's more on the upper side. If you have anything more than 2, that just means that your ad is being shown to the same person, 3, 4, 5 times. And if we had to put ourselves in their shoes and we saw the same ad 3, 4, 5 times, most of the time when that happens, you're just going to scroll because you've already seen the video. So your ad budget is going to get wasted if you just keep that ad on. So if your frequency is anywhere above 2, I'd say cut the ad. If it's lower than 2, it's a good range to be in. The next thing that we're going to look at is your CPM. So that's cost per milli. And what that is how much it will cost per 1,000 impressions. So once again, your cost per milli or your CPM is going to vary depending on where you're located and also what industry you're in. However, what this metric is going to tell us is how competitive your industry is. Anything between $25 all the way up to $45 in my area and in all the trades that I work with is a good range to have. So if your CPM is lower than $25, then I'd say that's a good thing because it tells us that your market is super uncompetitive. If your CPM was to ever be a bit too high, and let's just say it's over $45 cost per milli. So if your CPM is on the higher side, what that just means is that there's more competition in the people that you're trying to advertise to. And that's because there's more supply in businesses that are trying to advertise to the people that you're selling to. So instead of being commoditized and sounding like every single other business owner out there in your industry, what you want to do is fix your offer. A couple different offers that you can create your ad around is get X service in Y time. You can offer a discount on your service, which I don't generally like to promote, but if it has to be done, it has to be done. A little Hail Mary option. You can do warranty or financing is also a good one as well. So at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you stand out from your competition and create an ad where you don't sound commoditized. Another thing that you can look at if your cost per lead is a bit too high. So your CPC or your cost per link click shows us how good the ad is. So if it's a good ad, it's going to be quite engaging and a lot of people are going to show interest by clicking onto the ad. And a good range to have is anywhere between $1.50 to $4 per lead. And obviously this varies different industries. So let's just say you've implemented all these changes and you're getting a good cost per lead of anything between $5 to $30 per lead. Let's move on to the next step into the funnel. So the goal of having a funnel set up in your business is to turn these leads that you generated from your ads into qualified leads by putting them through the funnel. Having a good funnel that's set up in your business is going to improve your efficiency by tenfold, because instead of having to chase up every single lead that's generated through your ads and having to qualify them over the phone individually, what you can do is redirect them to a landing page and through your funnel and getting them to answer all your qualification questions and also getting them to schedule in a time to speak to you more about the project. Anything in between a $10 to $60 cost per booked call is a good range to have as well. The next thing you're going to need to look over when it comes to this funnel section is your leads to booked call ratio. So if you're generating a bunch of leads, $5 leads per se in the ad section, but you're not generating any booked calls, what that means is that your ad is attracting people who aren't qualified. So what you're going to need to do to fix that, if you're generating too many leads and no booked calls, is to remake your whole ad. And in this new ad, you're going to need to understand your ICP or your ideal customer profile and change up the angle and the offer in the ad. So what's happening here if you're getting a bunch of leads and no booked calls is you're creating an ad that is attracting people who aren't qualified. So people who are not your ICP. So in order to fix that is understand your ICP and make an ad that talks to them better through the angle and the offer. So from these booked calls, another metric that you're going to need to track is your quotes sent metric. So out of all the booked calls that you've had, how many of those actually result in a quote being sent off? So in this case, if your calendar's all full with booked calls, but on the other end, the amount of quotes that you're sending out doesn't really match that, what that means is that somewhere in the funnel, the qualifications questions that you've set out for the lead to complete is a bit too easy for them. So what we're going to need to do is to make sure that the qualification questions are a little bit more harder to fill out. And essentially we're getting them to just jump through a couple more hoops to speak to us through a booked call. So once you've fixed your funnel and you're getting a bunch of booked calls and you're sending out a bunch of quotes, the next thing that we're going to look at is your sales. You and I both know this. The most important thing when you get a lead is your speed to lead. So how quick are you calling up these leads? When people first see your ad, their interest level about your business is at its peak. So as soon as they give us their contact information, even though they're going to be sent through the funnel, what we want to do is call them as soon as possible. So as soon as a lead comes in, what you want to track is how quick it takes for you to call them. The next thing you're going to need to track is your closing rate, your closing rate percentage. So how many quotes are you sending out compared to the amount of quotes that you're closing? Now, if you're a bigger business and you have a team of sales reps that are closing for you, you're going to want to track every single sales rep's closing rate. And what this is going to tell us is if a sales rep isn't doing too good when it comes to closing, you're going to restrict their lead flow. So the amount of booked calls they're going to have or the amount of leads that they're going to contact compared to the sales rep that's doing a lot more better. And things are going to change from month to month, but it's always good to have an idea of when to restrict lead flow and when to increase lead flow to your sales reps. So when it comes to your margins, it's super important that you're going to want to track your average job value. So at the end of the day, we're just trying to grow here. But if you're stuck with a lower average job value, you're not going to be able to pay yourself and also pay an employee to do more jobs for you. If you're stuck doing the smaller jobs that don't pay well or the crappy jobs that you don't want to do, what you need to do is to change the positioning of your ad and sell a service that does have a higher job value. Now, if you want me to do this for you, it's the first link in the description. Otherwise, if you found this video useful, please click the like button, please subscribe, comment any questions that you guys have, and I'll see you guys in the next one.